Hi, welcome to this first video in a new channel, a new series of videos I'm going to do on the subject of literature. And for this first one, the subject I wanted to pick was David Foster Wallace. Everybody probably knows who that is. If you don't, go look him up. The reason I wanted to talk about him first was, to me, he's the last writer in the Western tradition, whatever, that's what we have. The last writer who really had the full ambition to create something really great and profound. I'm not saying he succeeded. I'm saying that was his goal. The first time I heard about David Foster Wallace was in high school. There was a kid named Teddy Chang who carried Infinite Jest around all of junior year or something. He was a grade ahead of me. And he was kind of in the slightly arty crowd or whatever that I was in, and he just carried the book around, showing everybody how thick it was, saying, "I'm gonna read the whole thing. I read half of it," and it was all ironic. It was pretty funny, but it's a huge book. That's his main title, Infinite Jest, and I have some respect for it, but I don't love it. I think he was trying to do something great, and I think he got close. I have not read all of Infinite Jest. I don't think I've ever even owned it. I have read parts and skipped around and felt it out. I never was grabbed enough to finish. I've read a lot of his essays. He used to write for the Atlantic magazine on different subjects. And I've always felt the same way about him, that I respect what he's trying to do, but I don't think he actually achieved what he was aiming for enough. And as most everybody probably knows, he hung himself in his 40s. He was young. And I've always kind of wondered why. Why did he do that exactly? If you look it up on Wikipedia, apparently he was always on antidepressants. This is according to his father. And he had some kind of problem with one. He got off it and tried other things, tried to get back on. And so his father really blamed that whole period on the antidepressant drugs he was taking, which I don't want to diminish at all, but I'm not sure that's the way to see the whole picture. I think the place to start with David Foster Wallace is, why did he become famous? What was it that he was doing that grabbed people's attention enough where he was scratching an itch in a way that gave him that career? And basically, I think he was young. He was in his 30s when he finished it. I think he was early 30s. And he was kind of the hope of the literary community to bring the novel and the Western literary tradition into the the postmodern period into the late 20th century. And because he was young, maybe because he dressed up like the whitest, actually white hip hop star you ever saw. He had that bandana, he had baggy clothes. So he was kind of a rock star writer, was the image. And the writing was good enough to sustain it for, for a whole career. But basically, what I think is that he was a very sincere person. And I think the success early on, which was a lot of it was him filling the cultural need of updating the literary tradition for the postmodern, late modern world. That success started to weigh on him because I think as he got older and was trying to write a next great book, I think he was realizing that he was a little bit ahead of himself, that he wanted to write a book that was worth all the acclaim, that was absolutely deeply profound. And I think he felt like he was not capable of writing that book because he was so invested, and that investment had been reinforced by the success in the literary community supporting his early work so strongly, to the point that it was very hard for him to move past it and to do something as different as he felt like he needed to do to achieve what he really wanted to achieve. His style is very idiosyncratic. You got the long sentences, of course, and sometimes very simple. He's always makes sense. It's not nonsense writing, but he gets very complicated and flowery and complicated language, and in some ways it can be a little more style over substance. Although there's a lot of substance there, there's even more style. And I just think as he got older, he struggled with doing something different enough to satisfy himself. I'm sure there were a lot of other things that played a part in his depression and suicide. But he did write about his creative struggles as being a very serious thing. And they were basically what I've described. And I think it's kind of a tragic case of the literary star being more sincere than the whole literary world that had raised him up and basically screwed him up. By encouraging him a little too young or too green or whatever. So that's my take in a nutshell on David Foster Wallace, who I've never read a full novel of his, and I'm sure there's lots of people who would criticize everything I've said, and especially the fact that I've never finished Infinite Jest or any of the others. But like I said, to me, he's the last great, semi-great figure in that literary tradition. After that, it just dies completely because the culture is changing so much. But I don't know why it had to die. I mean, maybe because he failed to do what he felt most deeply that he wanted to accomplish, and he felt like he couldn't. Maybe that's when the tradition sort of died, in a way. So I'm doing this channel because I've always been artistically focused in a lot of ways in my life, and like in the last decade or so, I've done a lot of writing, and I've written a book, and I wish there was a literary tradition that was looking for books. There's not much left, not in the high literary, ambitious sense. And I haven't read a novel that has come out in this century. I've looked at a lot. I've read some of them. I've read reviews and tried to follow and look and see if there's anything I'm missing. I don't think I am. Feel free to tell me what I've missed. What are the 2 books that you think are absolutely high achievements? I don't think they're out there. I have reasons why I don't think so, and I may get into in another video. Basically, accomplishing real depth artistically requires real depth intellectually, real politically. Everything's got to be perfect. It's got to be coming from the right place. It can't be half-assed. It can't be half-assed in any way. And I think we have a lot of half-assed and just incomplete books out there by people who are trying but not really succeeding. Much less than David Foster Wallace did. That's my view. And I'm hoping on this channel to talk about some books that I love, why I got into reading literature, and just a lot of the classics. I mean, the novel's not very old. It's a few centuries, the novel form. And there's some great stuff. It doesn't apply to our time exactly. It's a little old because there haven't been, in my opinion, very many good new ones. But I'm going to talk about some of that stuff and see who's interested. Thank you for watching. Leave comments, rip things apart, whatever you want to say. I'll read them and respond, and love to get in conversations. Take care. Tune in to some more videos as they come out. Appreciate it.